Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. We are once again back in the Blue Room at the beautiful Civilian Hotel located on West 48th Street in the heart of the theater district. And you know my guests from such shows as Spring Awakening, Bye Bye Birdie, War Horse, and The Book of Mormon. Well, now he is back on Broadway, giving one of the finest performances of the season, stopping the show in Marianne Elliott's new production of Stephen Sondheim and George Furth's Company. Please say hello to Matt Doyle. First of all, I am so excited, Matt, to be sitting with you here in the Blue Room at the Civilian Hotel.
It's so beautiful here. I cannot get, every time that I come here, I'm like, gosh, they did a good job with this space. It's incredible. And to be surrounded by so much Broadway history here is amazing.
Okay, and right behind us is the original set design, the original Boris Aronson set design and the playbill cover for Company. Right?
Yeah, I know. It's so cool. I've not seen this yet, actually, here. I know that they put it up, and somebody told me that I had to go see it, but it's amazing. And check that out. God, it's beautiful.
And then your set design is in the other room.
Oh, I didn't even know
Oh,
that.
we'll take a look at that when we're done with this. Yeah, your set design. So this is great. So first of all, I'm so excited to be sitting with you. And how does it feel to be back on Broadway, post-shutdown, doing what you do best?
Completely overwhelming and surreal and emotional. I mean, it hasn't been this, like, unbelievable joy fest, I think, that everybody expected it and hoped it to be. It's been difficult, and we've had, you know, a few waves of COVID within our cast, and every show's gone through this, and shows have been canceled, and it's been a bit of a bumpy ride, but we have so much love for what we do, and I know that this entire company loves this piece and this production so much that this is what got me through the pandemic, is just looking forward to the other side and getting back up on that stage and bringing theater back. So even though it's been tough at times, it's so worth it right now, and to push through and see Broadway thriving in the midst of all of this has been so inspiring, and I'm just, oh God, I'm grateful every night I'm on that stage.
Because I was with all of you on your opening night. Yeah. How magical, but also how bittersweet was that night for all of you?
Unbelievable. I'm so glad that Steve was able to see our first preview when we came back. But we were originally supposed to open on March 22nd in 2020, which would have been Steve's 90th birthday. So to not celebrate that night with him and not celebrate it the way we were supposed to originally was tough, and we definitely felt his absence that night. You know, we went through a lot of trauma in this process, and losing Steve in previews was really a pretty bitter blow, but he was so good to this production, so good to this company, and so much a part of it, and so actively involved in all of the changes. Every single, you know, a punctuation change was something that came from Steve, and it was just an unbelievable honor to get to share his last days and work with his genius. I mean, he's so brilliant and was creating up until the moment he'd passed. It's amazing.
Okay, so that first preview performance back, you had him in the house. What was that like?
Oh my God. Like so surreal, because we hadn't seen him. He wasn't coming into rehearsals this time around because he wasn't feeling very well. But it was, I mean, just seeing him walk in, we were so overwhelmed, and we dedicated the show to him that night. And he stood so many times. He was giving standing ovations to everything, and he's the best audience member. I think that a lot of people have said that, but you can always hear Steve's laugh. He is so generous and so giving as an audience member, and you feel very taken care of, because I think he knows that there's a lot of pressure when he's watching, and he was always extremely vocal, which I loved.
Okay, so you played Jamie, which is one of the few gender swap roles in this glorious production done by Marianne Elliott. You have one of the most incredible songs Stephen Sondheim has ever written. I call it a patter song. I call it the mental breakdown song. Yes. I mean, you stop the show every night. How does that feel, singing Getting Married Today or Not Getting Married Today?
It's a dream come true, and a dream that I actually never had, I think. You know, it's so unbelievable to be able to deliver this piece that I grew up watching and admiring and just worshiping these women that performed this piece so brilliantly. But it wasn't something I ever expected to take on by any means. And it's just a gift. That's really what it is at the end of the day. It is such a masterfully written song. Everything about it, the build, it is the most perfectly written panic attack ever. And especially through music, but just period, ever, end of discussion. And the way it builds, the way the audience just joins you on the ride, because that's what it is. It's not necessarily structured in the same way a song is normally structured. It's almost like we're all strapping into a roller coaster together and just enjoying it together, and that's what makes it so thrilling and so satisfying to get to that last beat and fall down to my knees at the end. It's like the climax of the journey, you know? It's just, it's something that I really, really try to take in every single night.
But you stopped the show. I mean, I've been there 3 times already, and I mean, everyone is on their feet. I mean, how does that feel as an artist?
Oh gosh, you know, it's what you always hope that will come along in your career, is a song like that and a moment like that. And you know, look, it's so brilliantly staged by Marianne Elliott, and the set design by Bunny Christie plays into it so well. It's the peekaboo moments that are happening with the cast. I won't spoil anything, but it is really, really, really phenomenally staged. But with that, it's a blessing and a curse, because they've given me so much physical activity and so much to react to, while I'm also trying to deliver perhaps the most difficult song in musical theater, and just hold my breath and get every single beat. And I think that's what makes it so thrilling. I'm never nervous for it when I go out, but I look at it as if I'm about to do a really, really difficult sporting event. Like I'm about to ski down the steepest hill ever, and I have to hit every single turn correctly. Otherwise, I will crash and burn. And that's so exciting for a perfectionist like me. It's like the most thrilling challenge ever. So I just, my set piece is rolled out every night. And like I said, it's like I've just buckled up for like a Disney ride or something, a roller coaster, and I just go for it. And I mean, if it all comes together and the ingredients are just right, I think that's when you have a showstopper. Yeah. And that I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Do you remember the first time you had to sing it for Stephen Sondheim?
Yes, I do. Oh, all too well. I got over my Sondheim nerves during Sweeney Todd at the Barrow Street, because he would come and be sitting right in front of us, and you'd have to, you know, place your hand on his shoulder and sing "Ah Miss" to his face. You know, like, it was the most overwhelming experience to break that fourth wall with him. So luckily, I had some ease in front of him, but it still did not break the nerves of doing Getting Married Today for Stephen Sondheim. I was a mess that day, and I'll never forget Marianne Elliott coming up to me right when I finished. Luckily, I didn't trip over the words, but I probably was not my finest performance of the song. I don't think I acted like one beat well. And Marianne came up and she just pulled me aside, and she was like, "It will never be scarier than that." And I was like, yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, working with this incredible cast, I mean, talk about a company of actors. I mean, you all got so close beforehand. Like, during the pandemic, you would, like, have Zooms and StreamYards with your cast, right?
Yep. They're my family. I mean, through and through. We have been through trauma together, a trauma that no one could have ever foreseen, that has never really happened in any of our lifetimes. Yeah. It is something that you really can't create, the connection that we have with one another. And I think that's been the silver lining of everything that's happened, is it's created such a stronger piece on stage. Marianne always says it's almost like working with a rep company now, because we know each other so well. We know each other's tics backstage so well. We know how to annoy one another and how to make each other laugh without doing anything on stage, just like in the simplest way, just with a look of an eye. And I love this group so much. They are my idols and my heroes, and I learn from them all every single night. Everyone is a master at what they do, and these masterful comedians. And then I get to watch Patti LuPone sing Ladies Who Lunch every single night, and it's always different. Always different. She always has a new moment. She's so fresh, and the way she listens is just so magnificent. And that's a gift that I will never forget, is this time that I've spent with these brilliant artists and learning from them as well.
Okay, what side of a theater is your dressing room on? I hear there's like everyone's on different. Okay, so
there's the crazy side, and I'm not on that side. It's Chris Fitzgerald, Greg Hildreth, Ty Benson, and the lovely Patti LuPone, and they are hilarious. the crap, excuse me, that goes down on that side of the stage, the pranks, the jokes, I mean, the yelling that we hear in the middle of the show. Sometimes I wish I was over there, but I think it's probably for the best because I think my door would be shut the entire time. I'm on the other side of the stage, which is pretty much everyone else in the company, all of the covers, all of the other boys, and I'm on the floor with Chris Sieber, Claiborne Elder, New Narayan, Bobby Conti, and Terrence Archie, and it is a lovely floor, and we've got some good music there, and I'll get along pretty well.
What do you do beforehand? Like, do you like to get to the theater early? Do you like what's your prep like?
Yeah, so I'm typically there about an hour before the show, and my prep is, I thank God I have patient cast members because I sing Getting Married Today so many times every night. It will never be like so comfortable that I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna walk out there and try it tonight, because it's a tongue twister. You have to actually warm up your tongue. So I do Getting Married Today about 5 beats faster than we normally do it, and then slowly slow it down to show pace. And I'd say I run it about 5 to 10 times before every show and get all the beats down and have it all in my body, and especially all in my mouth, and head out there. But that's the main warm-up. I mean, I do some other warm-ups, physical warm-ups, but that's what has to be down and has to be there. Otherwise, I'm sure I'll trip up.
Have you ever tripped up?
Yes, I have, totally. And that's the thing. The first time it happened, I was furious with myself. But the reason it happened was the first time was because I had to burp. Like, there was no way around it. I couldn't get a deep breath, and I just had to burp. And then the next time it happened was because I had too much spit in my mouth. So I've just started to say spit happens. There's nothing I can do about it. Sometimes it's going to happen. It's live theater. Every performance, you never really know what's going to come out of your body. So I prepare myself for that because it is a song that doesn't allow room for any physical error. So I'm just like, if it happens, it's usually a very slight trip or just like a slur of a word. There was only one night where I got so far off and just started yelling the words at the top of my lungs, no melody, and I think the audience was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's just Jamie having a breakdown. But I was mortified. I had so many friends in the audience, and I went off. I'm the biggest perfectionist, so if I screw up something like that, I'm just so angry. And I went up to Chris Fitzgerald, and I was like, I can't believe that happened. And he was like, hey, man, you really need to get over yourself. And I was like, okay, thank you.
Because I've spoken to many of the ladies who have done I'm Still Here from Follies.
Yes.
And it's sort of the same thing. Yeah. But it's da-da-da, and you don't know, did I sing that verse already? Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, where am I in this song? And they've all done that. And I'm thinking of your song too, because you hear da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like, wait a minute, it's like, where am I right now, right?
Yes. The other night, the vamp went on for so long because I was just like, wait, did I sing this verse yet? I mean, and so I just let it happen for a while, and I think the audience thought I was maybe like giving like a really long acting beat, like too afraid to sing the words, but I was just like, please make sure you're on the right verse. It was like my second performance back from having COVID, and I was just like, okay, I think I know where I am.
It's got to be scary, because once that train starts, it doesn't stop.
No, it does not stop, and you have to be along for the ride. You cannot get off the train, period.
Okay, you mentioned Sondheim. Of course, you were brilliant in the beautiful Sweeney Todd downtown at the Barrow Street. I went many, many times. I had my pot pies beforehand, which was brilliant. Okay. But I'm like, that first time you said Sondheim is in the house and you're standing there, he's like literally right here in front of you. I'm like, they have to be the most surreal moments. Like, you dream of meeting someone like that, you know, of learning their songs, or maybe getting into a Sondheim show, and then there he is right there, and you're singing, you know, a song touching him.
Yes. So the beginning of On This is singing about not even in London have I seen such a wonder. And in the audience every night, I would, there was one seat where I would grab that person's shoulder and point up to Joanna and say, have I seen such a wonder? And I look out at the top of the show, and I know Steve's there. And I was like, oh no, he's in that seat. And I was like, well, I can't do it. I'm not going to do that to Steve Sondheim. There's no way. I can't look him in the eyes singing his song. Okay, I'll pick someone else. And I was like, you know what? Right before I went out, I was like, you only live once. And so I just grabbed him by the shoulder and looked dead in his eyes. And he lit up and started laughing so hard. And he looked up at Alex Fink with me, and he clapped. And he just found so much joy in seeing his work done in new ways and seeing it delivered in new ways. And that was an experience that he'd never had with the song before and an actor. And I was just so thrilled to watch him be so excited about that. I mean, he was never precious about any of his work. He obviously, you know, would defend when appropriate and made sure that it was never tarnished, but he wanted to see it grow. He wanted to see it expanded. He wanted to see it delivered to new audiences, and that was the most exciting thing in the world to him. And how beautiful that an artist could keep creating like that.
Just beautiful. You know, Broadway debuts, so many people finally made their Broadway debuts after the shutdown, and they only come once, and they're really special. Yeah. Yours, of course, was in Spring Awakening. Were you 19?
I was 19 years old. Yeah, I was 19 years old. Man, talk about surreal to think back on that experience now. I mean, I'm about to turn 35 during company, which will be fun, my company birthday. And I've been here a long time and been doing this a long time, and I got Spring Awakening through an open call. I was non-equity, sat on the non-equity benches, and was thrust into this phenomenon at such a young age with no experience, and we were all, as I say all the time, we were little monsters backstage. We used to call it Eugene O'Neill High because it was just drama every single day. No one would defend that, by the way. Everyone would defend that it was just insane backstage. But we were a family as a result of it, and I mean, I can see any of those kids now, and just, it's like we went to high school together, or that we had our college experience together, we're that bonded in a sense, yeah.
Do you remember that debut when you went on?
Yes, I went on for Hanshin for the first role, which was quite the role to go on to because there was a masturbation scene, and it was my Broadway debut, and my conservative father and my hilariously liberal mother, it's a fun pairing, came, and just I got to do that for them for my Broadway debut, and I was like, guess what, guys, this is what it's gonna be. And yeah, I've done a lot of stuff like that since, so I'm glad that I really broke the ice with that.
Okay, well, the next time you return to Broadway, they got to see you in Bye Bye Birdie.
Yes, which was much more wholesome, much more wholesome. The grandparents came to that one. Yeah, so I did Bye Bye Birdie at the Roundabout Theater.
Sure.
Yeah, we had John Stamos, Gina Gershon, but we also had this group of just Broadway legends that I grew up worshiping Bill Irwin. So to share the stage with him and learn from him, he taught me how to play drunk properly. He worked on my pratfall with me. I mean, talk about a dream come true. I was just in awe of that. And Jane Howdyshaw was there. Oh my gosh. Just genius comedians, and you know, it wasn't the biggest hit, but we had a really good time together backstage. It was hilarious. We used to do these like toilet paper fashion runways, and the kids were so great and so happy to be making their debuts. Yeah. It was the best, and it was such a good lesson for me because I was such a little brat coming off of Spring Awakening, big ego, and very very much wanted to be on Glee like the rest of my cast members were. And I just got to learn from the best and have people like John Tracy Egan and all of these wonderful men that were in the ensemble with me kind of whip me into shape and tell me to grow up. And it was a wonderful learning experience, and so right to follow Spring Awakening with.
Okay, you might not have gotten Glee, but you got Gossip Girl, which was just as big.
It was a big deal. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd love to ask stage actors, did you grasp the filmmaking and TV making right away? Because people I've spoken to, they were like, the directors would say less. Like, no, I have to hear myself talk. And like, no, bring it down. Like, did you grasp it right away?
Probably not, because I always thought everyone around me was whispering on set. And I was like, this is not the take, right? Because they would literally talk like this. And I was like, I must be doing something wrong. So I learned a lot on that set. You know, theater is my passion and where I want to be, and I certainly have learned that over the years, especially having done some film and TV. And I think I just connect with that a lot more, the instant gratification of an audience, and the energy that you get to. It's like a tennis match every night, especially with something like Jamie and Company. You throw something out to them, it bounces back to you, and you just keep feeding off of each other. The audience really is the other character in the show. And I miss that when I do film and TV. I really do. So I feel like this is my world and my realm, but I certainly have enjoyed my moments doing film and TV. The best thing I can say about Gossip Girl was that group of people was wonderful. I think everybody's always expecting me to have some like bad gossip about that cast, but they were incredible. Everybody was so warm to me. Blake Lively is still kind to me to this day. If I see her, she remembers me. Thank you. Very, very thrilling. And so it was a really special group. And every time I showed up, there was just nothing but positivity on set, and I was always really impressed with that.
You know, back to directors, you're working with one of the finest directors, with Marianne Elliott. Yeah. What makes her so wonderful?
The way she understands actors and the space that she allows for us. She creates the safest space imaginable in the room. So we're allowed to play in a way that I've never really felt like I was allowed to. Yeah. I've worked with some amazing directors, but Marianne knows the egos of actors, the insecurities of actors, and she's able to study us very, very quickly so that we're able to do our best work. What we need is the most important thing. And as a result, I mean, you can see it in her pieces. They just soar because you see this work come out of people that you haven't seen from them before, and complexities that you haven't necessarily seen from them before. I mean, I feel like I grow every time I work with Marianne. We did Warhorse together years ago, and she has a way of pulling things out of you that she knows are there even if you don't. Yeah. And I think she's just so smart about getting actors to really, really listen to one another and to engage with one another far beyond just what's on the page.
Yeah. Warhorse was one of my favorite shows ever. Yeah. And you went in as Billy into that, one of the best Billies. I mean, how magical was that? I use that word because there's nothing more magical than theater. Yeah. And I mean, there was nothing more magical than Warhorse. Yeah. I mean, just learning to use the puppets and use the horse and everything else, and working with her.
Oh, yeah. So Marianne and I really clicked when we met each other on Warhorse. She came up to me on like the first day of rehearsal, sat down next to me and was like, "Will you be my mate?" And I was like, yes. I mean, like little gay boy, just like thinking she was so fierce and amazing. I was like, absolutely. I was like, we are going to be best friends. And so we had an amazing time on that. And she had this way of making sure that everyone was on game with everything that was about to be thrown at us, and that was quite a lot. We had about a month of puppetry school and physical training for that, which was before we'd even touched any of the text, and then we had 2 more months of rehearsal. It was a really, really long process, and I never looked at those horses like they were puppets. I mean, we weren't really allowed to. We had to accept that they were a different being, and that was something a part of the process, but I had such an emotional connection to an inanimate object because it was so brought to life by these actors that I was so crushed and sad to leave them when that show was over, because it felt like losing an animal. Like, really, I know that sounds crazy, but I was so connected to those beautiful pieces and Joey as well, who I got to ride every night and share a very deep bond with on stage. So it was so special, and something that can only be done in the theater, I think.
Yeah. Just breathtaking. And then, of course, you were Elder Price in the Book of Mormon. You spent a lot of time in Book of Mormon, right?
I did. I spent over a year there, and God, I mean, to lead a show like that right after Warhorse as well, so both from the same season, which was amazing. And Andrew was a friend of mine, and I never anticipated taking over that role or replacing him at all, but it was suggested that I go in for it right as I was finishing up Warhorse. And I say to people all the time, I couldn't sing that role before Warhorse, but I had to learn how to scream healthy in Warhorse so well that it gave me an upper register for Book of Mormon. I kid you not. And all of a sudden I could sing that score, and so it was almost like perfect timing. Everything leads to one another, and I think learning how to actually have a healthy scream allowed me to sing Andrew Reynolds' notes. So thank you so much to my vocal coach.
Was that show crazy fun to do?
I had the time of my life. I got to work with most of that original cast. I mean, it was the best time to come into it, and I was so embraced by that group of people. And, I had a lot of Cunninghams when I was there, but finally landed on Cody Strand, who's still there doing it. Go see him. He's so funny. And it was so special. It was such a wonderful experience. And God, talk about a funny show with such smart material. It was really incredible.
You're also a songwriter, because I have your EPs and I have your first full-length album called Uncontrolled.
Yeah.
I mean, what gives you the greatest artistic satisfaction with being a songwriter?
Oh, the collaboration. It's amazing. I think that's what's so thrilling to me about theater as well, and why I enjoy theater on the same level is it's so collaborative, and I want everyone's idea. I want to help create the piece that I'm working on. And that's what's amazing about the songwriting. I work with one of my dearest friends, Will Van Dyke, for most of my songs, and I also write with Sony ATV down in Nashville, and it opened up a whole new career for me that I didn't even know, and it was all because Will really gave me the confidence and said, you can do this, and this is called writing top line, which I didn't even know at the time when I started writing, which is just melody and lyrics. Yeah. And Will arranges the music, and getting in the studio with the band and listening to what they can bring to a song, it's such a wonderfully satisfying experience. And so when I look at the product at the end, I never think it's my own. I think, this is something that we created together, and we did this, we made this, that kind of look, I made a hat feeling. It's just it's amazing to see something come out of nothing. And then of course the support that I've gotten from fans along the way, because most of them were crowdsourced and funded by the fans, which was just so flattering and incredible. And to have that kind of support and people want to help you create something like that is amazing.
I love Top Line because when you listen to demo tapes of Broadway shows, that's all you hear the composers doing, banging out a top line. Yep. That's all it is. Then it's the orchestrators and the arrangers that add all the magic.
Yeah. So I'm very, very lucky to have Will, who adds a lot of magic.
I love that. You also write comics.
Yes.
Dense?
Yes. Yeah. So this is crazy. I'm a huge nerd. I talk about it a lot, but I really...
Thank you for that, just so you know.
I genuinely am the biggest nerd, and thought I was going to maybe go into computer animation as a kid or work with computers in some sense. I build PCs and all that. And I always wanted to write a comic. I'm not an artist on that level, but I knew I wanted to do panel writing, which is essentially like storyboarding in the way that you describe everything that's going on in the panel by panel. It can be very tedious, but and you write the dialogue as well, and then you send it to your artists, and they put that all into art and into ink, and then it's sent to a colorist, and so this came out of kind of nowhere. An opportunity came up with this really wonderful company called Webtoon, which is huge, and they were launching here in the States at the time, and they loved my pitch, and I was able to create it with my best friend, Beth Bears, and it was amazing. It went on for 3 years, and I had to meet weekly deadlines for 3 years while I was doing other projects, but I was so sad to bring it to a close, but I am working on a new one, and hopefully that will be out once I'm able to breathe a little bit.
I love that. Finally, you are giving one of the finest performances of this season. Oh my God. In company. I mean, like I said, I've seen you 3 times do this show, and I have known you since you made your Broadway debut.
You have. It's so amazing. Yeah. It's been emotional just on that level, on a personal note, coming back after this pandemic and seeing everyone and seeing Broadway press come back and being able to connect again, because we have known each other for a really long time, and we have been in this collective business for a long time doing what we do, and it's really special to share the moment of theater's return with people like yourself. So yeah.
So my final question is, if you could sum up the best part of the experience of working on Company, and there's probably so many, what is it for you?
Working with Steve, without question. It was such an honor, and he was so smart and so passionate and so giving to us. And one of the things that I loved about Steven is that he talked about his collaborators with so much emotion and so much gratitude. It was always about George Firth when he was in the room with us. It really was. He said this was George's show every single day that he was there. And he would get emotional, and he would cry, and he would say, I just wish George could have seen this and seen what his work became for a new generation. And also, he shared some private words with me about being a gay man, and seeing this role taken on in this respect, and how incredibly emotional that was for him, and how important the line "I'm the next bride" is now, because it's coming from a man. And this right that we have now, gay marriage wasn't even a right the last time this show was revived in 2006. And that's how recent that right is. And I think sometimes we forget it because things have progressed very quickly. But now we're at a phase in this country where things might go back. And we are going backwards in a lot of ways. And there's horrifying legislation happening right now. And it's so important to tell equal stories, to get up there and represent people that do represent our country and do represent the faces of New York City. And I'm really just honored to be able to do that, especially for Steve.
Again, Matt is giving one of the finest performances of this season or any performance on Broadway. And if you haven't seen Marianne Elliott's brilliant production of Company, you need to see that. It is a pleasure to sit with you, my friend, as always.
It's so nice to sit with you. Thank you so much, Richie.
We're going to take you out. You got to see your set
Oh,
design
yeah,
for your
absolutely.
company
I
after
know.
seeing Boris Aronson's here.
God, it's amazing though. Look at I always forget about the bedroom. Yeah, and that sparkly background there.
Well, yours is just as stunning. We're going to take a look right now.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
What Bunny Christie's done is incredible. If you haven't seen the show yet, the set will constantly surprise you. I've never seen a set this intricate before. Yeah. It is incredible, and it's always coming out of places that you never expect. So it's been a thrill to get to work on it, and my set, especially the kitchen, has so many surprises, and it offers me a lot of comedic opportunity for sure.
I love it. There's your kitchen.
Yes, I know. The fridge has become my best friend. I've broken the fridge a couple times, almost pulled the door off, and I think it snapped during the show one day because I use it for some physical comedy. So thank you so much to our prop guys, Eric and Austin. You guys are saving me out there. And I'm sorry for the damages.
I love it. That's great.